the rest of the world in the bottom half of the draw, and All Korea in the top half. But Kranich will have something to say about that. Kranich, a very storied player, as we have just discussed.
Yeah, so let's look at this matchup real quick. It's going to be the infamous Orange's Priest, as we can see by the Gadget Sound Auctioneer sitting there. This is J.
Orange has played hundreds and hundreds of games of this deck, and every time he plays a different deck, he says it's definitely the best build of Priest there is. He thinks this deck is completely busted, and it looks like he's going to try and prove it to us.
Orange did also say, one of the first things Orange said to me today was, I've got some interesting techs in my Druid. And he was saying that in front of the players. He's got some interesting techs in his Druid. He did show me the list, so I know exactly what he was talking about.
Though, so, you know,
but I won't
tell you.
I won't spoil it until you see it.
Dan
Hopefully
just doing teasers now.
I didn't see if his Druid is banned. If that's the case, I'm so sorry. You might see it tomorrow.
Yeah, that'd be funny. All right, so we know the score with this one. You want to use your minions to remove things. You want to use your combo to win the game. However, against Druid, you can also try and actually win the game by doing enough damage early with your minions that you can just finish off the rest easily at the end.
Yep.
Sounds easy when you say it quick.
Obviously, there's the additional benefit of Anduin clearing up all of those Jade Golems after they get so big. Though ideally, Orange is going to want to play Anduin before that's even the case and just have the game over by then. I doubt that Orange is running Skulking Geist. It's not something I've seen in one of his lists before. That's another card that can improve this matchup for the Priest.
Orange is a fan of the one-drops in his own deck a lot of the time.
Right.
And I think people have played around with Geist, trying to get it to work so that if you don't need the one-drops, you play the Geist and you sort of kill the Druid and remove your bad cards at the same time. But it turns out that Smite is so good that that just doesn't work. And so I imagine there is no Geist in this deck. Orange a big fan of combining the one-drops with his either Lyra or Auctioneer and so on.
Kranich just working very hard to clear that Cabal Talon Priest. Cabal Talon Priest is a card that Orange was raving about earlier. He was arguing with Pavel about its effectiveness.
I missed this.
And Orange was just saying it's very good because it buffs up minions in the early game and just saying all of the typical arguments for it. And Pavel was insisting that it's not actually that good.
I'd love to hear those two argue. Orange is always interesting. Going back to what I was saying at the intro about him, he's one of these players who can simultaneously take advice he doesn't like to hear. So someone says, do this, and tells him why, and he understands it, he would do it. But simultaneously, he can retain his own opinion on things. Yeah. So he doesn't just automatically believe something that the world champion tells him. He will go away and he'll weigh up both options and come to his own conclusion. That's what makes him such a great player. As does drawing the combo on 5.
I was about to say, that also helps improve you as a player if you can do that. The only card he needs now is Velen, and he's got all but a guaranteed victory there.
So the key to this against Druid now is to not let the Druid get out of hand by arming up for Malfurions. You've got to keep the Druid in the low 30s, otherwise it can get away from you. And it looks like that's going to be very easy. But with an Ultimate Infestation, maybe going to Malfurion, Orange just needs to be aware of that thing that can go wrong.
Orange is prepared to deal so much damage, though. He's got the Raza, obviously, all ready to play on turn 5. Then after Anduin comes down on 8, we've got Silence, Potion of Madness, Smite, Shadow Visions, like all of these cheap spell cards that can just deal more and more damage.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this one will go Orange's way. That's just what he needs to watch out for, that small problem. And we will see him go about his business of drawing cards and keeping the board clear, but more importantly, he will be doing damage where possible. See what Kranich can pick up from these 5 cards. Seems a good card, draw 5 for 10 minutes. He doesn't do much else.
Yeah, that part alone does seem pretty strong.
So Aya and various other Jades are okay here. And Kranich will probably quite like his position, to be honest.
There's not much Orange can do right now. This is a very unpleasant turn.
Yeah, he would really like to get some damage to face again. Got to keep that Druid's health total down to make sure that while you're killing them, A, you're not running out of resources, which oddly enough can just about happen, because you can't raise Malfurion 1 card a turn. And B, just make sure that you don't actually die in the process. Now, B isn't happening anytime soon. But, you know, getting out of range on armor is starting to creep away.
I like this. You cycle the Acolyte, you make it so that any other cards it draws you probably doesn't mill you. Now you're very safe. Now you play this Potion of Madness. Yeah, this works.
신속하게
Yeah.
결정해야 합니다.
It's got the Gnomish Inventor to continue drawing.
Yeah, and values that point of damage as well. You know, the taunt wasn't doing any real damage.
Yep.
But it was stopping this chip damage that is so crucial to closing out these games that look won.
Still no Malfurion present in Kranich's hand, which is a little frustrating for him, though he can put Aya down. Aya has this extra defense where it's safe against Anduin, because it just spits out another even bigger minion.
Right. You say even bigger, but they're not that big at all yet. They're only 2/2s.
That's true.
And so that's the thing in Orange's favour. He does have time and plenty of card draw to try to get to hopefully Velen in his case, but even the Mind Blast, the second Mind Blast with the Shadow Visions can just be enough sometimes.
He'll be able to deal a lot of damage even without the Velen combo. The Velen combo that I'm thinking of specifically is, of course, Velen Mind Blast Smite, which is 28. Add a Silence, that's an extra 4. Add the Coin, that's an extra 4. So depending on how much Orange is willing to save, is actually how much burst damage he has. And there it is. There's Prophet Velen.
Right, and now it's just easy. One of the things that can go wrong is you don't draw the Velen. You end up having to use your pings to kill minions, which you really don't want to do. But now, all you've got to do is sequence things fairly well. He may even go digging for Mind Blast right now with his Shadow Visions. This is the hardest turn he's going to have to play all game. So he'll probably spend some time on it.
엘룬의 뜻은 무엇일까?
This to me says he's playing Anduin if he's silencing Aya.
Okay. Sacrificing a little bit of damage there in those 0 mana spells, but seems worthwhile. He can still ping Kranich's face once right now.
Yeah, this is absolutely fine. Even got the luxury of taking out one of those minions to buy himself more time.
Next turn, he can just draw a card, play Thanos, play Shadow Visions, ping the face in between each one. And if he gets Mind Blast, then that's 28 the turn after, and that just looks like GG to me.
Yeah, the only thing he would be scared of here, not even scared, the only thing he'd be like not wanting to see is Malfurion, and he's not going to see it, so nothing's going to kill him anytime soon. It is a concealed deck tournament, as we keep saying, so maybe he just takes time to play around Savage Roar as well, just because it's a card that could possibly beat him.
The other thing I failed to mention is that Orange does only have 8 mana this turn. The Velen combo cannot happen for another 2 turns.
Yeah, he can spend that time setting it up, though.
He'll prefer a Dragonfire Potion here. Doesn't actually get any of the cards he'd have loved, although that's a lot of card draw there.
Yeah, he can just draw as much as he wants here.
Do we just go Cleric Smite? Oh, Cleric Pyromancer Smite Circle then?
You've got to work out if you need it and if you're going to overdraw. If he works those things out and he's happy with them, then sure. So it looks like he's going to.
Maybe he smites the 3/3 to... Oh,
He's got to make sure there's not too many minions on board or he'll overdraw.
yeah. Oh, this is exactly the same as smiting the 3.
Yeah.
I was thinking Ping Face Smite the 3/3. This
Sure, it's exactly
the same. Yeah. He draws exactly 6 cards, filling up his hand perfectly. He's going to hope that one of these is playable and does not cycle, because otherwise he will mill a card.
So yeah, that does actually go to 9, so he's okay.
Oh, does he? Okay. Miscounted?
Because he plays a circle.
Oh! Oh, that's true. Play
There's
the other
the Mind
circle!
Blast.
No, don't do that. Don't do that.
So he's got 24 next turn with the second circle. It won't be lethal just yet.
No,
Oh, it might be. It might be.
Well, yeah, at 24 in hand alone. If anything sticks to the board, that's lethal.
Kranich has got time to confer armor here.
Yeah.
The board isn't menacing, so he has got time to do stuff, but it's a forlorn hope. But as he's got nothing else to do, he may do it just because he can.
Yeah.
But no, he goes for the more standard play of actually trying to win the game of Hearthstone.
And unfortunately is going to lose the game as a result.
Yeah, that doesn't make it wrong, by the way. He just sometimes you've got to say, look, if they've got everything, I lose. And Orange has got everything.
Orange did draw Raza and Anduin both before turn 5.
That's good play.
Then Velen before he was able to play the Anduin.
Yep, that's
When-
how you're supposed to play this deck.
That is how you're supposed to play this deck. It's certainly how you win with the deck. But my heart does go out a little bit for Kranich.
I must admit, I know that Orange is one of the best players of this deck, the amount he's played it, the amount he's researched it. And I would have liked to have seen him have to work for the win. But if
Tomorrow,
you beat Druid
maybe
with
tomorrow.
Priest, then sure enough.
If he if
take
he
it.
does beat Kranich, you'll see him work for it tomorrow, I'm sure, against Pavel. All right, well, game number 1 of the series goes to Orange. Early days yet, but Kranich, I'm sure, is starting to sweat already.
Yep, Orange trying to level it up for the rest of world here. Korea 2-1 up at the moment. It's not a team game, but in terms of the semi-final lineup for tomorrow, he's trying to make it 2 players on each side.
Look at the concentration on Kranich's face there. He just closes his eyes. He's just thinking. Preparing himself mentally for the important game that's coming up.
Yeah,
next.
reminding himself that, look, if Priest goes turn 5 thing, turn 8 or 7 as it was thing,
But it's not his
you
fault.
lose. It's
Yeah.
just not your fault. Move on. That's a thing that happens in Hearthstone. And it happened to him, so he deal with it, and he will deal with it. That's why he's made so many great results.
Orange still needs to win with, I believe that was Warlock and Druid. I think his Rogue was banned. I am looking forward to seeing Orange's Druid. Again. I want to be able to stall these.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what's actually going to happen in that one.
This is the Warlock, though.
All right. So, Zoo with Captain. I think every single player's played Captain.
Yeah.
This
This
is
is-
a Crystal Weaver, though, which means we're going to see a Blood Imp or 2.
This is the first Crystal Weaver we've seen. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
And sometimes you don't play the Captain in that build. Actually, no, you usually do, to be fair. So when you take out when you put in the Fledgling, you don't usually see them together. But that was Hoy's build where you play both and still keep in the Darkshire Councilman.
Yeah, that was particularly heavy when it comes to 3 drops. I don't expect to see an exact replica of that from
Yeah.
Orange. Well, Crystal Reaver already is different. Let's see how Kranich starts this off. He could just go Firefly, just match Orange's play. It seems fine.
So the interesting thing with this game is the Zoo is the defender,
Right.
like big time. The Zoo gets to turn 10, it wins like 85% of games or something ridiculous. That's if it plays Gul'dan, but it's kind of the same thing. The Gul'dan doesn't actually swing this matchup much at all.
Yeah.
It's just if the Zoo survives long enough to play Gul'dan, it wins the game.
You were talking earlier about how it's difficult to work out when to play the Shadow Step in Rogue. I think you can say the same thing about the coin. It's not always
Sure.
obvious when you're supposed to drop that. Do you save it for an Edwin? Do you save it for a Valspine Slayer? Do you save it for an SI7 agent?
I think in general, I think the coin might be one of the hardest cards in Hearthstone to play correctly a lot of the time
Right. It's probably the card that is played incorrectly the most.
without people realizing, yeah. Like, you
everyone-
get one chance to turn around the fact your opponent goes first.
Yeah.
They're first for every other turn in the whole game. You get one turn where you get that advantage.
Yep.
You've got to make it a good one.
But Orange looks pretty comfortable at the moment. Although we're calling him the defender of this matchup, he has the board right now.
Yeah, I mean, the Zoo defends things in weird ways, right? All of its defensive, apart from 2 Soulfires and 2 Doom Guards, all of its defensive options are like weird minion interactions. So it defends with its face, with its minions, it just sort of puts them on the line. So when it's got the board, it is using those to trade rather than to kill at this stage. That's what I mean by it's the defender.
Time for Orange to put those captains to good use, I think.
Yeah, it looks good, doesn't it?
Captain plus Firefly fits the curve nicely. Crystal Weaver doesn't seem that tempting at the moment. It's just a 5-4.
Something that people forget, though, is a 5-4.
It is a 5-4.
That's actually, it's not so great in this exact spot,
No.
you're right, but in general, people misplay Crystal Weaver by trying to go, oh, I need to get a bluff. You don't, it's a 5-4-4. This is fine. It's an upside down Yeti.
It's easy to compare it with Gentle Megastore, right? Because
Yeah.
sometimes that has to be just played as a 5-4 in Murloc Paladin.
And that does tend to get some synergy because of hero powers and by mistake. The Crystal Weaver's only got something like 6 or 8 targets in the entire deck. So you just move on with your life if it can't.
Yeah.
But this is a better play anyway, so sure, you can do this.
4 mana to spend, a Flappy Bird sitting there raring to go.
Kranich's hand is just not the hand he wants
So
right
we,
now.
So we start with the Swash. Renowned Star, oh my goodness.
He might go for this. His hand is so bad.
I think it only replaces Warlock cards though.
Oh, it doesn't replace class
I
cards?
believe it just replaces Warlock cards.
Oh,
I
in that case, rip.
could be wrong. I could be wrong, and we can't exactly read the text.
I'll learn
Right
Korean
now.
for my next visit. I can actually read the blocks of letters now. I just can't translate them.
Oh, right.
I can say the words. They just won't mean anything to me. But yeah, it probably does say Warlock in there somewhere. Kranich's hand is as bad as a 6-card rogue hand can be. There's no play in this hand. He's got to generate something. This is one of the things that Zoo does so well. Even now, he's got so many 1-drops.
Renowned Darkness does change his hero power, though, I think.
Okay.
And there used to be, I think it was a bug, I'm not entirely sure, where if you got your own hero power from it back, because it changes your hero power to something other than the Warlock one.
Right.
If you got your own one back, all of your cards would just be discounted by 1. It was,
All right.
I don't think that's still in the game, but...
I want to go for that. That sounds good to me. Sounds like super Kellerset.
Right.
Just amazing.
Well, this hand isn't nice either.
Yeah, I think that if the wording was change all your class cards, I think he'd have played it by now because this hand is absolutely abysmal.
I think if the wording was change your deck out for a different one, he'd have,
He's going to in a minute. Well, actually, no, Orange probably is.
yeah.
Because he has to.
Sadly, Kranich doesn't have that option until he wins with it.
Orange insta-taps. I think you Soulfire here.
Yeah.
You
Why not?
Soulfire then Captain, I think.
Yep. To reduce the chance of discarding Bone Mares.
Yeah, you might as well have 2 Bone Mares, right? But you don't mind if you keep the Captain discarded Bone Mare, it's fine. But I guess that's what he's weighing up. Do I actually really want a Captain now? Is it just so good to occupy the board with his Captain? Or will a Flame Imp do?
I guess 1 Bone Mare is probably enough, realistically.
And he's actually going to play the super
Okay.
safe / greedy route.
That's fine. Keeps the Soulfire ready to go in his hand. Doesn't actually lose any minions.
I kind of liked keeping the 5/4 up, but this is obviously fine as well.
Well, if Kranich is going to kill it, he still needs to tank 5 damage.
I mean, the other thing is we've got Caster Vision. We can see that Kranich's hand is just appalling Hearthstone hand. It has been since the start.
Well, I don't think we need many guesses to work out what Orange is going to do next turn.
He's going to Bone Mare.
Oh. I
I'm
thought he was
guessing.
going to Soulfire and tap.
He could tap Soulfire, trade if he want to.
I didn't think he was going to Soulfire and tap, no.
I don't
He's
think
gonna-
he is either.
Always going to Bone Mare.
Just to be clear, he's just going to Bone Mare unless... What could Orange draw that would change this and make it interesting?
Oh, okay. So kind of Shadow Step the Tar Creeper so he can play that with Bone Mare next turn. But I think that's too little too late.
I guess this is about as interesting as this turn could have been in the whole is it going to be Bone Mare discussion, but it's still not interesting.
It's still Bone Mare.
Just going to kill your face.
This is always Bone Mare.
Good betrayal positioning. That's all we can say about that. Putting the Captain in the middle. We're going to have to worry about crushing walls soon, though, and then that's the wrong positioning if you're playing against Hunter, which he's not. But, you know, that's what this game's come to at the moment. While we wait for Orange to finally get this over with.
There we go. That's going to mark the end of game number 2. Kranich 0-2. The first Korean player, I think, to be in this position.
Yeah, because Pavel was 2-0 down.
Yes.
Oh, Zigzo was 2-0 up, according to my notes.
Oh, yeah, he lost 3 times with the Mage,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
got reverse swept with Mage. So he's in 2 reverse sweeps today. Kranich looking to become the 3rd.
But Orange going to work as hard as he can to make sure that doesn't happen. Orange is definitely a player this year that arguably more than anyone else has really made a name for himself now.
Yeah, like you said earlier, he already had the name and now he's earned it.
Yeah, almost like a redemption story.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. I think he knows this story stuff. He's heard me say it once or twice before, that, and he accepts it a lot. And that's why he got so good, because he did accept that a lot of people were saying he'd been lucky when he'd been lucky.
If you want to continue having this dream job, of being a successful professional
Get
Hearthstone
good.
player. Get working.
And he's done it in such a unique way in that, like I say, he does still retain his own views. Sometimes they're very different to the rest of the pro community, but he accepts when he's wrong. He just has to make sure that he's wrong.
정예롭게 싸우리라.
And I mean, when did we last say that Orange is the hunter player? Remember that meme?
Yeah.
Orange would play, he's the hunter player.
Oh yeah, I do.
Somewhere along the line, we've dropped that because he's more than that now. He's actually a Hearthstone player.
Yeah. And no one's a hunter player at the moment.
Again, he's had to go away from his favourite class, or the one that was his favourite, into a totally new line.
Hunter has not been in a good position at all this year, but this has been Orange's most successful year.
Exactly.
So maybe
And
that's it. Maybe that was his weakness.
The style of the style of deck he likes now is nothing like Hunter either.
I
Otherwise,
think-
he'd be playing probably Rogue. is probably
Oh,
the closest.
there it is. There's the tag.
I don't understand what that says. That's a one drop that.
Naturalize. Destroy a minion. Your opponent draws 2 cards.
Sure, it's not just a bugged Mark of the Wild.
Pretty sure that's no.
So what's the point of playing Naturalize in Druid?
So it's a tempo thing.
Okay.
It's a way of clearing away these big minions, without using up much mana and continuing to develop the boards. It also has the slight advantage of being able to potentially mill your opponent's cards. There are lots of priests.
Okay.
I was about to say there are lots of quests mages, but we haven't seen many of those. Even big druid. These cards these decks tend to have their hands completely full of cards. Naturalize allows a card or two to get milled. If you mill the right one, you do just win the game.
And we do need to talk about what Kranich is playing because this is like UK Paladin.
Well, that's backwards. Well, not very backwards, but yes.
It's a Dread Corsair sitting in that hand, waiting to have its casting cost reduced. And this deck, Jumbo, of course, had success with twice. Famously, of course, getting to Legend from rank 16, getting to rank 1 Legend in like 4 days when he invented this deck.
Yes.
That was just ridiculous. But since then, he got to rank 1 Legend again with it, but didn't finish rank 1, like in September.
That's not good enough then, is
It's
it?
just not.
So is this a wild growth, or are we having to deal with this 2-1?
I don't think you have to deal with it, obviously.
The Rockpool Hunter is frustrating. He's actually going to deal with it, yeah.
We've seen people delaying wild growth more and more, actually, over the last few tournaments. People are less scared to wait on it.
Well, we're almost at the position now in this game where he's Maya Keepering this turn, and then he's Nourishing after that. I guess wild growth is a cycle.
Yeah, you don't like cycling wild growth. Sometimes you play on turn 8
But yeah,
these days.
I was going to say, or you draw Ultimate Infestation, and so you play it on turn 8.
It's weird how that dynamic changed. You used to really look for excuses to cycle it if you got to this spot. But because of Infestation and your hand being full anyway, you look for an excuse to burn it now.
It's also the fact that Gadgetzan Auctioneer used to be
Yeah,
very,
you
very
cycle
common.
it, keep the 0 drop. So I
And,
keep interrupting you today.
It's okay. Just makes me feel unvalued. I'm sure Twitch chat love you for it.
It's only because you help me remember how to say things. So, Orange. How big a thing do you want to naturalize in this? You don't want to give them cards, really. You really don't. You wait till somebody gets buffed. Sometimes you're dead if you do that.
This is really tricky. UK Paladin runs Divine Favor, right?
I was going to ask you that. I think sometimes it does, but sometimes it does not. But with the Curator, I'm not so sure you'd run Divine Favor because it sort of fills your hand up. It's like an anti-synergy. But in general, I've definitely seen Divine Favor in UK Paladin. I think the original one did have it.
It's just, I mean, UK Paladin, aggressive Murloc Paladins, they all sort of sometimes run it, sometimes don't. They're this funny mix of cards with a lot of, or funny mix of decks with a lot of flex spots.
I mean, the original UK Paladin didn't run Tyrion because
That's true.
of this thing that Jumbray claimed, and I think he's actually better than this and couldn't word it. But claimed was because the deck had too many weapons already, and so the Ashbringer was useless.
Right.
Not quite in those words, but I feel that he'd played it enough times to know that was true, but the wording was kind of weird.
Okay, there we go. Ramping with the Nourish. I wonder what the reason for ramping with Wild Growth would have been that turn, because it looks like he considered it. Wild Growth and then Ramp. I think that's just strictly worse.
This seems good. I guess
To get the card draw
you've
later.
got to trust your deck is going to draw, and sometimes when you're playing for $5,000 writing one game of Hearthstone, you go to the thing that your brain tells you is the safe route,
Yeah.
which is usually not the safe route at all.
Yeah.
No, you might use the card. See how Kranich reacts.
Okay, that's big enough for a naturalize, and no reaction. What's
He jumped straight off his seat and out of the room. Oh no, he hasn't moved at all.
Now these guys' reactions have not been very exciting.
They've really let us down today with the big game reactions. I
Really?
suspect that Kranich has somehow found out. Enough people knew what Orange might have.
That's true.
Maybe Kranich just knew that was a thing. I mean, Nourish sort of drifts in and out as a fringe card in Druid.
But that was one of the cards that the Orange waited for Pavel to leave the room before
Yes,
he announced
exactly.
it.
So that was interesting.
There is another slightly odd
Right.
tech that Orange was talking about in this deck, which may pop up a little bit later.
In the meantime, though, the board is just starting to sneak away from him. This Curator next turn from Kranich is going to be a big refill for him. Assuming he doesn't just Megasaur and start slapping Orange about.
Okay, so when does Orange need to play the Spreading Plague? I feel like Jade Behemoth is probably fine this turn.
Yeah, making huge green men is a really good way to deal with small fish.
Yeah. That's
Just like Jolly Green Giant.
one way of looking at it. Then again, this looks like a Spreading Plague to me. It's a shame he can't swipe as well this turn. That would have been very nice. Even a Wrath here would be fantastic. Get rid of that 4-3.
So is 2 Murlocs enough for the Megasaur, or do you want the reload for the exact casting of the Curator? Is 3 Murlocs enough from the Megasaur?
Yeah, there's the Hydrologist.
Is 4
as well.
Murlocs enough from the Megasaur?
Okay, 4 is definitely
Do I hear
enough.
5? Do I hear 5? Anybody in the audience? No? Okay, 4 it is.
Yeah, if there was any question before as to whether the Megasaur is right, I think we've answered that now. Kranich could even go with a Hero Power rather than a Hydrologist after playing the Valfin Inquisitor.
Sure.
But I still think it makes more sense to play the Hydrologist.
All right, let's see what he picks up here, because they're not all good options.
So Wind Fury is pretty good. Playing into the stealth one there
Yeah,
by
that's really
attacking
nice. I like it when you
first.
attack first and wait for the stealth.
There's literally no benefit to not attacking first there, so... Defense Shield, 1-1 and attack are the 3 options.
They are. Nice work. Your Korean is better than mine.
My
Numbers.
recognition of the bottom of the artwork is reasonable.
It's getting a bit grim for Orange. He hasn't been able to keep control of the board like he'd like. He's killed for Blood Mage Thanos about now. We'll just wipe the board out. Shame. Probably isn't in his deck, but we know he's got some weird tech, so maybe it is.
Oh, that swipe is still kind of looking juicy. But
So if he had a Blood Mage Thanos, that would just wipe
Yeah.
the whole lot out.
Thanos Pyromancer, gimme. Second swipe even. That would be fine as well. Thanos and trade the Scarab into the 9-2 works, I guess.
It's a long time since Pyromancer lurked around in Druids.
Yeah.
A different age for different people. They were calmer times.
If it's a different age for you, then it must be a very different age.
Yeah, it really was. I'm in this tier of age for many hundreds of years now. Kranich's got to choose between tempo and refueling immediately. This doesn't work out nicely. I think maybe trying not to just always play on curve, but next turn looks really clean for turn 9 with Kobold and True Silver. So I think maybe you do just blast out the obvious curve play now. Because it works for 2 turns.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Okay.
I don't think he wanted to do this because it's not the best tempo play, but when you factor in your next turn as well, it just looks too good.
Kranich seems to be winning at the moment, but by this tiny margin.
Yeah, it's called Ultimate Infestation.
Yeah, exactly. That is the margin. A Nourish would be huge for Orange here as well, actually. If he can Wild Growth into Nourish, that does save this turn.
Now, he did save this Wild Growth in the end.
Yep.
All this time.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'm liking this.
Wow.
He can play his entire hand now if he wants to.
I don't think the Korean commentary crew are very impressed with that particular play for the noises we can hear. And now Orange is going to do the thing you always do against Paladin, get rid of all of their stuff.
Speaking of bias earlier on, I think there's going to be an element of bias coming from my left. Because Kranich actually casts with these guys sometimes.
Oh, okay.
Like, they are. This would be like me competing and you casting. Okay, do you know what? Never mind.
Yeah, I was going to say, hang on, I'll be cheering for the other guy. But yeah, I know exactly what you mean. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, they've been pretty biased already, and so they should be. The crowd all wants Korea to win, so you should be cheering for them if you're casting it.
Okay, second wild growth. That's not quite Ultimate Infestation.
It's not, but how long can it go on before he gets a notice or an infestation?
Okay, Malfurion, that's pretty good this turn.
The only problem with the Malfurion now is it means he can't kill the Scalebane with his face if he plays it.
Oh.
But he sets up the spiders, he's fine.
Yeah, you're right. I still think that's better.
Oh, you do, but that's what's made him pause. It's just a little bit. He had it in his head to trade and then just trade and just play whatever he drew.
Malfurion, though, is one of these heroes where you do make a sacrifice for your benefit. Like, yeah, your hero power is better, but you no longer get the one attack and one armor at the same turn. You have to choose from now on.
Or you get Fandral.
Or you get Fandral, and then you are just better off here.
But yeah, this is fine because the one damage will go on the Scalebane eventually. Takes the Spooders.
Tarim not looking too great here. Then again, if Kranich can clear the board and then just plonk a load of small Murlocs down, then...
Yeah, I mean, Orange's time is running out, and one of the things about Ultimate Infestation is it doesn't deal with wide plonked Murlocs at all well.
No.
You plonk 4 Murlocs against an Infestation, they get a lot of damage in before the 5/5 cool does its thing.
It could dig out his second Spreading Plague, which does something.
Yeah.
Both stripes have been used already. It's really rough for Orange.
This is where you have to realise that you've done the right thing as Orange. You've played to your decks out, and it just hasn't behaved. You've got to not say, what could I have done differently? You could have played this game very differently and hung on a lot longer and then died.
Yeah.
But if he draws Nourish or Ultimate Infestation for any of the last 6 turns, he just wins the game. But it's just gone so long now, the odds haven't played out, and now looking like Orange is going to go down here. This might be his last chance. Maybe he gets one more.
Right, okay, so I don't think he plays it this turn. I think he puts the spiders into 2 of the biggest minions,
Yeah.
armors up, and waits.
Wow.
Because you only get 3 scarabs.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7 plus 4 plus 4, 11, 15. All right. You convinced me.
No, you doing the math convinced you.
I mean, if you do it, do you put both spiders in? Or do you just kill the 8/4?
I kill the 8/4 and the 5/5.
I think you do.
But okay, he's playing the scarabs as well. This is fine. This is fine.
Armors up. Buys himself probably 2 turns to pick up. Oh,
Ooh.
maybe not. This is actually going to be pretty brutal.
Kranich also wants to go as wide as possible for his Sunkeeper Time, which is going to come soon.
And this is the problem when you don't have any sort of buff for these 1/5s. They're sitting ducks, really. Well, they're beetles, but they're like ducks.
So you're calling them beetles too now?
I know, you've taught me into it.
Orange is just thinking, where are my ultimate infestations?
Yeah, I mean, that's what...
Where is that card? Where am I Nourish? Where's my remaining Nourish?
What is he thinking about? He's thinking about where to put his hero power for the turn. It's your last chance to kill the Kobold Scalebone. And you take a bunch of damage for the privilege. Yeah, he doesn't want to. Alright, so... wow.
Well, this has already been a bit of a snowball.
Yeah.
The snowball is getting much, much faster as it races down the hill.
Yeah, it's just a giant, massive snow now.
The snow planet.
Snow planet.
in orbit
Wow.
of an orange.
I'm so lost,
Yeah, me too.
but it sounds great.
I think we're in Busan.
You sure?
Not really.
I'm not sure of anything anymore. If Kranich does win this, then, you know, Pavel would be the sole survivor, so maybe we're not in Busan.
I am sure that these Murlocs are making short work of orange.
Having Druid 3 times in a row is a good place to be.
That's true. That's true.
So we've seen 2 reverse sweeps already, but Kranich has definitely got it to do if he's going to get the 3rd one. Kranich's other decks, we didn't see what was banned, or I didn't note it down, more to the point. He's got Rogue. Oh, he's played them all. He's got Rogue and his own Druid, so not a terrible spot to be in, but he's got to get the win with that Rogue. Flappy Bird Rogue a little bit better though against Druid. That's why the Flappy Bird's in there. They've got to get their Wrath or their Swipe, or they just lose.
Yeah, Rogue just generally seems like a pretty good matchup for me. He'll be feeling good about that one, but the mirror match is just, I mean, it's anyone's guess. How will Orange's techs be? We've only seen one of them so far, but how will the Naturalize do in the mirror match?
Yeah, it could be interesting if you get a fight between like 11-11 Jade Idols.
Yeah.
Could also be interesting if you're trying to mill people.
If you can mill the Jade Idol, then hey, that's a bonus. Obviously,
Well, you can mill things in the mirror.
obviously Ultimate Infestation does fill up your hands.
Yeah.
And then Naturalize, yeah. Mill the Jade Idol, it takes away one of your opponent's win conditions. But we're going to see this matchup first, the one that looks much better for Kranich. So how can Orange win this one?
Do you keep the swipe? You don't. But you
Keeps
do keep the
Aya,
Aya, so he's
though.
going to go for big stuff and not worry about Flappy Bird so much.
Oh, this looks like a good hand for that strategy.
It does, but also the strategy of ignoring Flappy Bird looks like it might really hurt. That
Yeah.
vicious fledgling is going to be vicious, all right.
Coin, Flappy Bird. No way of removing it. There is a swipe now. It's not going to remove it quickly enough. Orange wants
This
a
is
wrap.
why you play the Flappy Birds. And against Priest, it makes a difference, but you need more threats than just the bird against the Priest, but even so.
This game could be over in a blink of an eye.
Yeah. Oh, another swipe. So if the bird doesn't get a good choice, and there's plenty of good choices,
Health is good.
maybe Orange gets through them both.
Health or untargetable both look good. Health, okay.
Yeah.
It's just the best one there. I don't think you ever take Divine Shield over 3 health.
No, I agree.
Oh,
There's a lot of things in Druid, including the hero power, that do 1. That's the Divine Shield gaining you. So 3 health is a lot more than 1 health.
Orange can swipe the second one if he wants to, but then the first
He can
one...
swipe the bottom right if he wants.
Yeah.
I mean, even the rest of Kranich's hand, you know, it just continues this beating. Up to turn 6 where he gets the Vile Spine down to kill off any sort of...
Anything that has
There
managed
is
to
a turn
stick.
6.
Yeah. So what are Orange's options here? He's got obviously the Jade Spirit. He's got the swipe on the 3/3. That's the one he's going to go for. Okay. Well, what's worse than one Flappy Bird going out of control? Two
Yeah,
Flappy Birds going out of
exactly.
control.
At least, I mean, Orange has a mana advantage.
Oh.
Oh dear. I was going to say, and this hasn't got out of control, but it's got out of control.
It's untargetable, right? How does the Druid ever deal with it if Kranich makes it untargetable?
Oh, yeah.
Well, it doesn't directly deal with it, and Kranich should have other ways of getting rid of that iron.
Yeah.
Spreading Plague might be the only play for Orange here.
Might be. Might well be. So, how does Orange get back into this? He's spreading Plagues, then he doesn't die for a couple of turns, gets some big Jades. The Vile Spines run out. Kranich draws nothing but backstabs. Yeah.
Golems are a girl's best friend, but not Orange's best friend right now.
No, they're not going to be big enough anytime soon.
Potential 6-6 Edwin coming down this turn as well. One-one on Divine Shield. He likes 1-1. He likes damage.
Yeah, they're both pretty much equivalent, so you might have to get the extra point in.
No stealth, unfortunately, but more health will do the trick.
Oh, he just didn't get the Wrath. That's why he threw away the swipe. He was looking for Wrath.
Yep.
Although the swipe did deal with the first one, but the second swipe just wasn't quick enough.
So we were talking about reverse sweeps earlier.
Yeah, there's been 2 already. Soul Derby beat Zigzo 3-2. Pavel beat Sam D 3-2. Both were 2-0 down.
Yeah, half of our series so far have been reverse sweeps. If this is, then that's 3 out of 4. 3 out of 4 games that have all gone to game 5.
And 3 out of 4 games that have been won by Korea. If Kranich can take it. Not over yet, though. This game isn't over, let alone this match. It feels over, but it's not quite dead yet.
I just don't know what Orange can do to survive this for much longer.
I mean, I think you have to take the spiders and hope they live. They don't, as it happens.
It's just lethal on board, though.
Is it? Actually, oh, of course it is, because of
The Wind Fury, yeah.
8 plus 3 is 11. Well done, me. No, you get the 5 health, so yeah, you're okay.
Oh, of course you. This is slightly safer.
Gone are the days where you stuck Doomsayer behind this lot.
Yeah, those days were brief, but
But yeah, Orange probably wishes they were about now, although they were 5 mana, not 6 mana spoders, etc. Well, Kranich needs to make a plan here. He needs to work out, is killing a 4-4 with my Vile Spine good enough? Because he can't use the other one next turn, except he's got a lot of outs that he can. So maybe he just does it and then uses the other one next turn a lot of the time. Otherwise he doesn't have much of a play here. So the Bone Bear set up, and a lot of the time he can Vile Spine if needed.
no, now this game is well and truly over. There is nothing Orange can do to make himself survive. Does the Malfurion just about allow him to hold on?
8, 9, 12, 13, 15,
It does, it
and he
does.
would be on a bit more than that.
Kind of draws a Cold Blood Valspine would probably be good enough because the Flappy Bird can trade into 2. Yeah.
It's kind of hard being on last. They've sat around a lot today. I bet these guys, despite only playing 1 match of Hearthstone all day, are probably quite tired.
That's also disappointing because there is a, I think because the whole venue is closed now.
Right, we're getting a view of what actual stands people have been swarming around. And yeah, there's plenty out there that we can see from here, right from one end of the venue to the other, while we're waiting for this to draw to its conclusion. But yeah, we are down to, from what must have been 500 or 600 spectators earlier, down to 40.
If that.
Don't make me count them. I'm a caster, I can't count.
I just did a very quick count. I'd say about 25, 30.
So, cool.
Just not many.
Since when have casters know what 30 is?
Yeah. Funny number. I wonder where you got that one from.
Yeah. All right, so both these players making sure they don't make a mess of this. We should do the same, I guess.
I know 28.
For sure. Or is it 29?
Okay, well, there we go. Kranich gets his lethal, takes the second win for him of the series. Korea versus the world. All comes down to this.
Yeah, and so far, Korea's been beating the world pretty hard today.
If Orange wins this, he ties it up.
It's a big difference. Pavel was 1 game away from the world being 3-0 down. Again, it is not a team tournament. They are playing a quarterfinals. But I think for the good of the tournament, well, it doesn't matter so much with this one, as people recognise Kranich in the West a lot more than the other 3 players.
Yes.
But if Orange wins this, we'll have 2 Europeans in the bottom half, and we'll have 2 Koreans in the top half. That guarantees a Korea versus world final if that happens.
Are you saying Kranich is Korea and the world?
I'm going to choose what Kranich is when I know what the result is.
Okay. I mean, by qualifying for this tournament, he's definitely counting his career.
Sure, if that's your opinion, you can stick with it.
I mean, he went through the procedures to get into
Yeah.
this tournament as a Korean player.
There's always time.
Time for him to get an invite.
We'll think of something. Look, don't let facts get in the way, Dan.
Okay. My mistake. Let's move on. Game number 5. Druid versus Druid. Let's go.
Naturalized, pretty much the only difference. I don't know what he dropped for it, but there are not much difference. So Orange probably very, very slightly favoured here, depending on what he dropped.
There's still one slight difference, which is the tech I mentioned briefly earlier. It hasn't been shown yet. I don't know what they just got so excited about. Was it the Jade Idol in the opening
I
hand?
think it might be the fact that Orange can get to 10 mana by about turn 2.
Slight exaggeration, but yeah, you're right.
It's looking a bit grim for Kranich.
So is this coin wild growth then?
Well,
It's complicated.
yeah, it's
'Cause
going to be.
Coin wild growth into wild growth means you can nourish the turn after. If you play wild growth on turn 2, wild growth and nourish, it's slower.
Meanwhile, Kranich not got the ideal start, but he had got enough to catch back
He can
up.
catch up, yeah.
And that's the thing that does happen these days with Druid. It's not like it used to be where if one player got the ramp and the other didn't, that player would win. It's
And-
still a bit like this, but with Kranich, he's got just...
Okay.
Forget everything I just said. Kranich is doomed.
Next turn, Orange could play wild growth. Nourish and wild growth. He's really going to want to draw Ultimate Infestation first to avoid the same thing that happened before.
Yeah, he also, depending on what he draws, he might actually start weighing up the Nourish as a card draw card.
Yeah, well, that's exactly the thing. Like,
Is that what you mean, yeah?
yeah, because earlier on, he lost the game simply because he ran out of stuff and failed to draw the cards that gives him more stuff.
Yeah, he's so far in front. I think he's going to use it for that purpose. Just a luxury, but he may change his mind after this Maya Keep and go ahead again.
Right.
Well, I like the way he delayed the decision. He's waiting. He's not going to turn 10 any quicker, whether he knows his last turn or this turn.
Yeah.
So not only has he populated the board, but he's going to see one more card off the top of his deck.
Yeah.
Which means if he draws Ultimate Infestation, he can ramp into
Yep.
it. But if he draws some awful card, I don't know why it would be in his deck because there aren't any awful cards in Druid, then he can change his mind.
Okay.
Ah, yeah.
And I was about to say that Jade Behemoth would be a perfect way to round out turn 6. These Jade Golems are getting very, very big. This is going to be a 4-4 and then a 5-5 when it dies. That's significantly larger than Kranich's large green men.
Right, and that's one way to slow down your opponent's ramp. Not just only for them to not have any ramp, but he's forcing Kranich not to be able to nourish here by making sure there's problems on the board to deal with all the time.
Well, now yeah. Trying to work out if Orange considers nourishing this turn and drawing. Nah, it feels wrong. Jade Behemoth just seems
Yeah,
too
you've
good.
got to fight for this board, I feel, although the Aya trade is awful.
Yeah, whereas if you nourish, you can hero power and trade the
Yeah,
Aya.
maybe he goes for that.
But then do you nourish for ramp or do you nourish for draw? It's really difficult decision.
These are the games where Druid players actually earn their worth. The ones where they have interesting decisions to make it and stop. This one's not that ridiculous, but even this trade's kind of awkward. But look at the board Orange has developed now. And all Kranich can do is, well...
He can summon a 4/4 Jade Golem. He can... I don't want to say catch up because he can't, but he can help himself out. Swipe is okay. Doesn't clear up that 5/5 or the 6/6 though.
Nourishing for cards and wild growthing on turn 8 seems like one of the best turn 8s you can... Oh, sorry, on the 8 mana turn, because God knows what turn it is anymore.
Yeah.
Is one of the best 8 mana turns you can have. And that's what Orange is going to have at least at his disposal.
Going with Poisonous Spiders. Okay. Oh no, sorry. I thought he did select the spiders. My apologies.
So we're going to see this turn that he's planned this turn for several turns. Obviously the Aya pickup really helped him with it, but... Oh, wow. Jade Idol's so tempting just to make it a big, big, big green man. This game can go to the end, so
Yeah.
sometimes you need to cycle it, but his lead will be so massive, and he's already seen one.
His lead is already massive.
Yeah. This is a decision he needs to make.
All right, he's playing it, but which one's it going to be? I think he has to summon it if he's playing it now. Yeah, of course he does. He can't shuffle it before drawing Ultimate Infestation.
Yeah, he's just threatening all kinds of horrible things. Kranich has nothing he can do. He's mana behind, he's Jade count behind. He's ahead on health total, but I don't think that's going to help him. And he now has to somehow get his chin off the table just for one more turn and work out what's the one way I don't lose this game. But it's hard to pick yourself up when this is happening. Oh dear.
With the Coon as well.
Yeah, that will go. This is just going to force the bottom right. Kranich will look at his next card and then concede after this turn. And Orange looks like he's going to level it up for Europe. Right, have you quite finished? Kranich will look to make sure he hasn't forgotten anything. Draw 3 cards. And
There's Ultimate Infestation, but he's emoting. That's going to be that. Orange takes the final series of the day. Korea versus the rest of the world, 2-2.
Absolutely insane there. Orange kept himself together. Didn't have too many decisions that last game to make. There were 1 or 2. He had to make that Jade rather than cycle. He had to realise that was going to get him there. It did